Thanks for joining us, smAsho team, the Smash team, that is. And thanks for being entropy busters, everybody. We appreciate you viewing our videos. We are looking at the last 48 hours of solar activity or lack thereof at the 304 angstroms view. And we're going to give you 1 minute of lead time here to allow folks to get into the live chat. Welcome, Harry. Please tell your friends. We'll be back in 1 minute. So here we are at 171 angstroms. We see that active region setting in the west. We do see some interesting activity here in the northeast as well. A little bit of solar filamentary tornadic activity going on up there. And let's take a quick look at the magnetic lines, assuming we have the current data. And something looks wrong about that photo. What do you think, folks? All right, I apologize. Try this one. And it looks like the SDO site's having some issues today. Let's try a smaller image. There we go. And that is the current image. There are your potential field force lines. So a little complexity up by that filament, but otherwise, talk about low levels of solar activity. 10.7 centimeter radial flux back down to 67. Here's a real-time solar wind. Looking at the last day. Phi angle has just hit the 180 mark, folks. So back to the earthquake risk. Very weak solar wind here. We do have a positive BZ. That's a good thing. That's the red line on the top pane. Solar wind density all the way down to 3.25 protons per cubic centimeter. And solar wind speed is dropping. Now we are expecting a high-speed stream on the 18th. So in 2 days from that coronal hole. And next segment, let's look at the magnetosphere movies. We'll look at just the density and the pressure. So here's the density. We'll let that play through. Not the lowest density we've ever seen on this channel, as we've covered this at levels below 1 proton per cubic centimeter. I would also note high density is shown in navy blue. Low density is white. Here's the pressure. And the main reason we show these every day on the channel is because you can't access this data once it is already streamed. So thanks, University of Michigan, regardless. And we are hoping that you allow us to view the archives at some point. And that's 4 hours of data. So very low pressure, weak magnetosphere. Let's move on to the global magnetic perturbations. These are the ground-based ones. So we have zoomed way in now. And we see the standard drift of the South Pole into the Indian Ocean toward India and Western Australia. And in the north, the main perturbations tend to be over Canada. And we see at the end of the movie, those have all shut down, as the solar wind is super weak. So no big changes going on in the B field. Again, this is geospace delta B. In other words, changes in the Earth's B field. Check out smashamash.org if you haven't already. And check out our affiliate. We've finally stepped into the affiliate space with Hemp Lucid. So we've got a campaign just for our viewers, the spaced out campaign, check it out, 30% off of the whole plant CBD's hemp oil suspension. So just for our viewers, we've created this campaign, the spaced out campaign. There are links in the description below the video. If you're buying stuff from Hemp Lucid, please do it through our affiliate link and help support the channel. Also, hey, how about some bike racing? Hey, check out theveloshop.net, owned by Becky Quinn. We are still looking for sponsors for this year and indeed next, as we are like halfway through the season already. And I have yet to do a bike race, but stay tuned, folks. It's going to happen. Check out on Patreon. The tier is only $1. And thanks to our 5 patrons, we just put up a recent post here that everybody will be able to see, which shows the mission, which is to study and report and assist on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics and so on. So please check that out, as we are in the process of doing a lot of things. So help support us. One of the things I'm doing is getting a new bike, and I'm trying to raise another $5,445 by Friday when we do our solstice stream. So if you want to sponsor the cycling team, email me at smAsho@gmail.com and we can get you on the jerseys, or if you prefer to be anonymous or whatever, links in the description. Also, there's original music, such as you were hearing at the beginning of the video, at 2 different spots in the description as well. Let's go to spaceweather.com. Talking noctilucent clouds and talking 10.7 centimeter radio flux, which is all the way down at 67, folks. Legit solar minimum conditions here. And we are looking for an uptick. We are expecting an uptick within a couple months, as my prediction for cycle 25 to begin is September. And I've been saying that for about a year now. So I see no reason to change my forecast yet. We're expecting to see some cycle 25 sunspots and plages popping up, more so than 24 ones by September. Let's look at spaceweathernews.com for some more information here. X-ray flux is flatlined. Again, solar wind has come off of its lows. Let's look at a close-up of the ACE here, as we use 2 separate spacecraft to measure the solar wind. So we see the solar wind density was all the way down at 1. It's just come back up a little bit. And the speed has been quite low and descending. Anyway, let's look at the rest of the data here. Magnetometer is looking a little bit jerky. And we'll look at the Gong 2 in a moment to check out the heliospheric plasma environment. KP index has just come off of 0. Stayed at 1 there for 6 hours, and now back up to 2. So quiet condition for that. And electron flux steadily rising each day. I would note to our new viewers that the N's and M's are referring to noon and midnight local time for the satellites. So the GOES 14 and the GOES 15 kind of chase each other around in orbit. And we're looking at 2 different measurements here. These are electron densities, and they are measured at the F2 ionosphere layer. We see no charging hazards, as you would expect. Here's the ionosphere map, and it's looking especially discharged on the nighttime side. No real surprise there after what we saw in the magnetosphere movies. We like when the data corroborates, and once again it has. So aurora forecasts are weak. There's Borealis, and there's the Australis forecast. Here's the Gong 2. We are trying to blast through a lot of stuff today, so we're not going to take a whole lot of time to explain very much of anything. Here's the Gong 2 environment, and we see a pretty stable environment here. There is a little bit of complexity going on in this region where my pointer is. And there does look like there's some activity associated with that tornado, that little filament we were looking at, especially at 171 angstroms. We're going to skip stereo A entirely. Here's the location of your planets. as the Earth is creeping up on Saturn, and we're almost at a full moon, so there should be some interesting stuff on the ecliptic. There's where things will be in a week as the moon begins to wane. Check out in-the-sky.org, links in the description also, for a custom sky map. Figure out what's going on above your head. I like to orient mine to the south, although you can make it face whatever way you like. I like to orient mine to the south as my sofa is oriented to the south, which is convenient as that's where the ecliptic is. So the moon's setting, so's Jupiter and Saturn. Look for Venus to rise before dawn. It should look amazing. Follow us on Twitter if you like, also on Facebook, also on Instagram. Censorship. Who needs the government? Big tech will do it for free. By the way, if you like to take vitamins in the morning, try putting coconut oil in there. It helps your B vitamins absorb. And no, I'm not hyperactive. Check out this fishing hat. Anyway. Also, follow us on Gab, our latest foray into social media, and on Minds, the social media that will not censor you. Minds.com/smAsho now at 456,000 views and only 703 subscribers. Leave a comment if you own Facebook stock. Hi, Mark. If you haven't pressed like and subscribe on YouTube, well, please do so. Press the notification bell. We are massively shadow banned, and never really expect to reach 100 subscribers, much less 1,000. So for that, we thank you. We saw a large earthquake and a series of them at New Zealand. Shout out New Zealanders if you felt those quakes, as I'm sure you have. Let's go through the list of everything above a 4 magnitude. Here's a 4.9 in Chile. Thanks everybody tuning into the live stream. Here's a 4.5 at Bolivia at depth. Heads up. East of the Andes for a larger quake at the surface. Here's a 4.8 in Argentina. So we see an uptick there of deep quakes in South America. Here's a deep quake at Fiji, over 500 kilometers depth at a 4.8 magnitude. Here's a 6.1 at Tonga at the surface. So a big shake up there in Oceania. Shout out New Zealand viewers. Most structures are built pretty well against earthquakes in New Zealand. And that one was quite far out in the ocean too. Let's do a quick zoom in on that so we can move on with the stream. It looks like it's right in a rift. Right on the edge of a rift. There's a location of that. We have seen deep quakes there recently. And incidentally, this one was downgraded by the U.S. Geological Survey from a 7.4. So here's another aftershock, 5.3, a 5.0 aftershock, a 4.6 aftershock, all in that same location. 4.4 at Chile, 5.0, another aftershock at New Zealand, 5.5, and most recently a 6.3. So all of those quakes basically in the same spot, very nearby each other. I read earlier that no tsunamis were generated. And I don't know. Anyway, check out tsunami.gov if you want to monitor tsunamis. We really don't have time as we are running late. Let's look at the wind maps at windy.com. This is the 9,000 meter winds, flight level 30,000. I just wanted to show you what the northern hemisphere jet stream looks like. Check out the Northern Hemisphere jet stream. That is hardly a jet stream. That isn't meridional flow. That's convective patterns. That is not a reliable wind stream, folks. Southern Hemisphere, very strong jet stream and very meridional flow. You see a lot of north and south flow of the jet stream here in the Southern Hemisphere. There's a pretty high wind spot. And the jet stream in the north, pretty much non-existent. So, got convective patterns running the show here, and some folks are not too happy about it, especially in places like Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, northern Texas, as well as the areas south of the Great Lakes. And these storms are just going to hang around, unfortunately, folks, as there are no upper level winds to move them about. They are just going to hover around. These are the kind of storms that produce damaging wind, hail, and tornadoes. Please leave a comment if you and Toto are hiding in the basement right now, yet still able to see this video. Let's do a close-up of that mess that's going on right there by looking at the NASA GOES interactive weather satellite. We'll do a big zoom in here of the water vapor situation. And you're going to see the standard Hall current streamer lines right here. You see these lines that are perpendicular to the flow of the water, where my pointer is. They ain't contrails, they ain't chemtrails. They're caused by electromagnetic fields, or you could say the flow of electrical current, or whatever you want to say. If you understand the physics behind it, you understand what I'm saying. And that Earth spot is just going to hang around. I mean, it's going to slowly move to the north and east. So heads up central US, this is going to be a disaster all day, as these areas are already flooded. If you're not familiar with lightningmaps.org, get yourself. Rolla, Missouri. You've got thunder headed your way. And yes, lightningmaps.org will give you some idea of when you will hear thunder. It's amazing. You could trick the natives. Popocatépetl has erupted once again with a 32,000-foot ash plume. There's a great photo of it, causing cloud nucleation with its gas and ash, because it's not just the ash, folks, it's also the sulfur. Check out this. Goodness gracious, look at this thing. Man, that is a good one. Cut the sound on that. Dude, that is serious. Looks like footage from a plane. I'm not sure how far away it is. Looks like they're flying at about 15,000 feet, because that's that 32,000-foot plume from Popocatépetl, located in central Mexico. If you weren't aware where it is, check out watchers.news. Here's the location of Popocatépetl, one of the best volcanoes to say. Go ahead, say it. Say it. Popocatépetl. Let's look at the rest of the volcanoes going off. Shivaluch, back on the list as of a couple days ago, with a 13,000-foot ash plume. Fuego, possible exhalation. Sangay, recent addition to the list, possible exhalation. And Sabancaya. Don't attempt to do a triple Lindy over Sabancaya with its 24,000-foot ash plume. We've moved on to the wildlife and geology section, where we'd like to inform our viewers of the distinction between their ass, seen in the left pane, and a hole in the ground, noted at this gateway to hell in the right pane. Let's talk about overreach of the government. I will not wait for Congress to act. I will take executive action to accomplish what Congress has failed to do and build upon President Obama's executive orders. Now, why does he say that? It's because Bernie is a vulture, and Bernie wants to import voters to vote Democrat. That's why he wants to just allow amnesty for everybody that crosses the border, whether they do so through a tunnel or show up on the beach from a submarine or come out of the sky or come out of the woodwork. Bernie wants them. He also wants your 10-year-old kid to vote because he thinks your 10-year-old kid's going to vote Democrat as well. Let's talk about Bernie's brilliant economic plans. Links in the description of this article as well. Apparently, Bernie's been plagiarizing Stalin when he says everybody should be entitled to the right to a decent job that pays a living wage, the right to quality health care, the right to a complete education, the right to affordable housing, the right to a clean environment, and the right to a secure retirement. He's like a poet because he rhymed retirement and environment. Bernie is amazing. So, well done once again, Bernie. Again, links to the article, but save for this one right here, the right to a clean environment, which he's suggesting Republicans don't want a clean environment. I guess that's the implied take from this. They're taken right out of the Soviet Constitution of 1936. So anyway, articles 118, 119, 120, 121, and 122 are literally what Bernie is flapping his lips about this time. Let's talk about entropy. Now that we've talked about censorship yesterday, well, let's talk about entropy, since censorship is a form of entropy. Because big tech is taking organized systems and putting lots of entropy in those systems by doing things like censoring people. See how that works? Anyway, links in the description to Merriam-Webster's definition of entropy. Again, thanks for being an entropy buster by watching this video, as we like to debunk lots of non-science. Now let's talk economics. Every Fed chair has a plan until it fails. So the Fed is in the process of planning to lower interest rates in an attempt to prop up the stock market and keep the bubble market inflated. The problem with the current stock market, while it's at very high levels, is that all of that was bought with cheap money, borrowed. That's all on borrowed money, folks. So when companies start deciding to pay you in stock instead of a salary, there are all kinds of reasons economically for that to happen both ways. Because anyway, I'm not going to get into it, but read the article if you don't understand how the Fed works. I don't know what to tell you. Read The Creature of Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin and improve your life. Get out of your comfort zone and learn how economics really works. Economics ain't the stock market. Economics is the flow of all goods, services, currencies, and government activity around the world. Speaking of around the world, if you've tuned in from a different galaxy or universe or solar system, please leave a comment. Or if you're even from a different planet. Now, let's talk big tech once again, who is censoring you right now in some way, probably prevented you from seeing the end of this video. And by the way, if our videos end abruptly, it's not because we just get cut off. It's because there's problems with the streaming. Anyway, 4 insane data privacy scandals just from this month. So there's a soccer app that's been spying on the fans. La Liga was trying to spy on people by turning on their microphones and figure out who's viewing pirated streams. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, who's been scanning faces and license plates crossing the border, had their database hacked. Well done there, government. We always love when you waste billions of dollars. Apple, once again in the crosshairs, by choking on their own code. Since Apple scans your uploaded images, They're pre-screening or scanning uploaded content for potentially illegal content. So have fun with that, folks. Enjoy your Apple Cloud features. They don't know how they evaluate if an image is illegal, what they do about false positives, or if they are storing data collected from the scans. How do you like that? Makes you really want to put stuff on the cloud, doesn't it? Hey, folks, let's all go out and buy hard drives and store data. What do you think? How about a nice encrypted hard drive? What do you say, folks? Man spends 44 days in jail for not unlocking his phone. And yeah, big tech. This article from the burning platform. In other words, big tech, you are on notice. If you don't fix your game, big tech, you're toast. You can't break the internet, but the internet can break you. Here's an article from leftist rag Bloomberg. Mexican drug cartels now make their own cocaine. That's right. Instead of importing powdered cocaine, they're sending cocaine base from Colombia to Mexico, where they refine it instead of doing it in Colombia, since Colombia has cracked down on precursors. Links to that article as well in the description. Now, we have some opinions about Facebook algorithms, and I won't get too much into it, but I'm not really a fan of Facebook's algorithms or of Mark. So anyway, let's just move on. Now, we covered this yesterday, but let's do it again on Reclaim the Net, one of the many entities out there who are preventing big tech from ruining the internet. How to become a hate agent, according to Facebook. Read the article, it's amazing. Praising, interviewing, or appearing together at an event with a wrong individual. Self-identifying or advocating for a hate group. Having tattoos of hate symbols or slogans. Not sure exactly how they're going to accomplish that. Possessing hate paraphernalia, which isn't clearly defined. For making statements in private, which are later made public. Anyway, links to this article also. It's hilarious. You should read it. Facebook, you busted. Apple, you busted. Twitter, you busted. Google, you busted. Let's talk aircraft. The U-2 is still up there. If you weren't familiar, there's the U-2 Dragon Lady. Basically a giant sailplane with cameras like you wouldn't believe. They have one the size of a pizza plate lens on there. We don't fly over hostile airspace anymore, folks, because obviously, you know, in the 60s, Russia came up with some better surface-to-air missiles, but this thing's cameras are so powerful and the radars are so powerful that it can see for like 600 miles from its 70,000-foot altitude flight ceiling. We're going to skip cosmic rays. If you see this man at a bar, please be very careful. He may be thrown out and banned for life, and he may call police. Also, he may eat your cheeseburgers. If it's flooding where you are, you may want to invest in a Spanish galleon. Go back to the sun, as this video is just about complete. Let's look at the 335 angstroms view, as we pretty much never do so. Let that load and bring out the chat and call it a day. Thank you, Terrence. Keeping the channel afloat. We appreciate it. Here's a part of the video where we hope this image loads. Almost loaded, folks. All right, so anyway, it's about that time as we are late, super late, Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks, donors. Thanks, subscribers. Please don't forget to press like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. More content coming out. Please help support the channel and increase the probability that we will continue to exist. Remember, when you're staring at the sun, don't drink it. If you drink, stare at the sun anyway. Just use the proper instruments like the SDO. And don't drive. Seriously, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.